Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video from pop princess Ariana Grande, and certainly through what happened in Manchester with her in one of her concerts, we'll look at how you can make a difference in this world despite tragedy. So I trust you found that one encouraging. Well, going from a duo that met in 1992 in Australia, we had James Roche. Now, James was one of these guys that just seemed to get involved with a lot of different people. Tommy Emmanuel, guitar virtuoso that he is, and John Farnham, of course, that's Australian rock royalty right there. You're the Voice is just one of his signature tunes, and one day we'll get to John. And then vocalist Tanya Doko. And between the two of them, they thought, yeah, there's a bit of a thing here. Let's get into it. And Bachelor Girl was formed. Now, Bachelor Girl certainly, when they were around in their heyday, certainly hit the ground running, and there were some hits here that really took Australia by storm. And they became part of the Great Australian Songbook, which is what we call, iconic Australian songs over here. And they were able to have a bit of success and find resonance with their Australian audience. Couple of albums, 1998 came Waiting for the Day, and then 2002 Dysfunctional. And then 2011, so there's a bit of a gap there, Beautifully Wrong. And then amongst all of those albums, there were 7 singles and 1 compilation album. These guys also won an ARIA Award, which stands for the Australian Record Industry Association, and an APRA Award, which stands for the Australian Performing Rights Association. So you know, respected by the industry, which is pretty good. And so, yes, that's about Bachelor Girl. So when we talk about Bachelor Girl, and just before we get on to that, first of all, how talented James is as a multi-instrumentalist, and how incredible Tanya's voice is, just the look that she has, the compellingness she has, the slight quirkiness that she has. And certainly through the lyrics, they certainly do encourage us to reflect and to resonate and to think about our own lives and the way they're going. Well, and so when you think about Bachelor Girl, there's one song in particular that you need to think about, and this is the song Buses and Trains. This came off the Waiting for the Day album, again, of 1998. This got to number 4 on the ARIA charts, so pretty important and significant song, this one. The song's all about, and I'll talk about the clips in a minute, the song's all about, alas, reflecting back on her childhood and wondering why her mum didn't prepare her for life. Or maybe a better way of looking at it is saying, hey mum, why didn't I listen to you? And because I'm not ready for life at all. Particularly things around living independently, and this thing called love. And in her case, boys. And so this is where we're going today. I think the role of every parent, imagine, when the child's born, and you hold them for the first time, you look in their eyes, and they first smile, the first words, all this sort of stuff. You can't imagine that one day those children are going to leave. You just can't imagine it. But one day they will. And it's interesting what our role of parents actually is. There's kind of 2 things going on at the same time. Well, actually 3 things. At the start, we're being a parent, so, very much values and lessons and doing life with them and helping them to explore their world. And as that continues, you go from very much from being a parent, keeping them safe to a certain extent, to a parent that needs to let them go. A parent that needs to let them fly, a parent that needs to encourage them to find their own way in this world. Because the last thing we actually want is for them to be a mini version of ourselves, even though they will be to a certain extent. But we want them to find their own way in the world. And so the parenting kind of becomes maybe friendship. And it's quite interesting in those teenage years when, parents and teenagers don't tend to get on with each other very much. But sort of when you get to that 20s plus time, if the relationship's a good one, you know, you might come back to your parents and ask their thoughts because they were there where you were once. And so the best thing we can do is to prepare our children for independence. So whatever we can do to get stuff in there, to get them to do stuff themselves, to discover that they can do stuff themselves, even from an early age. You know, I walk a bit, and I noticed along a tram line here in Adelaide, there's a new sort of bike. There's a bike where the child uses their feet to push them along. And it's only going to be a matter of time before those feet leave the ground and they become pedals. There's something quite beautiful about that. And also driving around in streets and just teaching them what it means to be safe around other cars. It's a beautiful thing when I see that. And they're already thinking, well, how can we get this kid independent even at the age of 2 or 3 or 4? Because when they get to school, you know, they've got other influences in their life, and you might find them starting to change. And so, yeah, let's not hold on too tightly, particularly when they're getting a bit older. Let's look for any opportunities we can to put life learning and independence in there. Or we could have a child coming back to us as in buses of trains saying, hey, Mum, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you prepare me? Why didn't you help me to work out what life was like? There's another series a little while back called the Gilmore Girls, and I do wonder about that series because very much Lorelai didn't want to let her daughter go, even though she sort of thought she was independent. And they're friends, great friends. Poor Rory, she didn't know how to live in the world, and she struggled from one thing to another. And so we don't want that. We want children that are resilient and strong and being able to stand there on 2 feet. And when the decisions come and our relationship might come, they know what to do. They're not umming and ahhing about it. They're willing to go for it at the same time. So if you're a parent, you know exactly where I'm going here. Let's get our kids to become independent, do ourselves out of a job. They may go, but you know there's a richness in the relationship which will remain. And if you're a kid or a teenager, you know, don't pretend your parents aren't important, because they are, and they love you and they want the best for you. They actually want you to fly. So you know, everybody wants the same thing really. It's just getting there, I'm thinking. So I hope that will be an encouragement to everybody watching today. Well, buses and trains. So we've got an official version, the official clip, which just tells the story so well. We see how she sort of is struggling a little bit with a few things, and she sort of questions, oh wait, what's going on here? So really good lyrics, that one. And we've also got a live version of this one as well. As I said, their heyday was 1998 to 2002. Well, this is a live version from 2016, which is pretty cool, a little bit later, from the Australian Day concert in Sydney on the harbour there. Of course, Sydney New Year has always been pretty massive with the fireworks and the concert and everything like that. Well, they came back and did buses and trains that night, and there's an orchestra behind them and everything. So it's pretty special to see a song that has resonated so much with Australia coming back a few years down the track. So we've got that one, live and official. We've got Permission to Shine, and again off the Waiting for the Day album. And this kind of follows on from Buses of Train. Hey kid, you've got permission to shine. But no, more importantly, we need to tell ourselves we've got permission to shine. Shining, like, you know, let the light shine, let it radiate out to you and make it so compelling the world has to watch. And that's certainly what happened with Tanya and James with Bachelor Girl. They let their light shine. So Permission to Shine was a pretty amazing song that came out very positive and very uplifting. A live version of that one. Then we got the song Lucky Me. Now, this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek song because there's a giveaway right in the bridge. You think the song is all about, look at me, I've got just everything I want and I'm just the best person in the world and how good and how lucky am I. I've got everything I could ever want. But when you get to the bridge, but it isn't enough. And she talks about becoming religious at that point or something like that. So very thought-provoking lyrics. These ones around what is important and what makes us tick as human beings. And instead of lucky me, being it's blessed me, thoughtful me, holistic me, all those sort of things. And so that's the official clip on that one, and that again off the Waiting for the Day album. So the links to those 4 clips are in the description below, and I've also included my last clip from Ariana Grande. So if you want to recap on her, feel free. Well, if you've come back for another one, as we've looked at this concept of parenting and teenagering today, thank you for doing so. Or if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. And it's so good to see the engagement and for people hanging around to the end. Well, that's it for today. Next time, we're going to go on to screen music, American treasure, really, Bette Midler. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.